You're listening to Drinks and a Movie with your host, Rudy. Spoiler alert.
We're rolling Drinks and a Movie podcast. Yo, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Today, we've got a triple feature episode. I'm joined by co-host Carissa once again.
Hello.
Thanks for being back.
So excited.
We're out here talking about Ty West's X Trilogy. You know, as of recording this, MaXXXine had just come out, I think 2 weeks ago now.
Yep.
And I wanted to talk about it, but I realized I never talked about X and Pearl. I mean, I did do an episode on the YouTube channel where I talked to Elliot Rocket, who's the cinematographer for all three of these films, including House of the Devil and The Innkeepers, for those of you that are Ty West fans. So I've had him. We did like a 2-part episode. So if you want to go back, we recorded those in 2022 when these movies came out. So you can go back and listen to that. But I never actually talked about the movies themselves in terms of just story and not the technical aspects. And I was really excited to chat about MaXXXine. This is for sure one of my favorite movies, if not my favorite movie of 2024.
Yeah, this movie was fucking amazing.
Yeah, it is awesome.
It was such a vibe. It was great. It was so good.
So we're all wrapped up now. We're going to be drinking Lagunitas Little Sumpin Ale.
Yeah, to go with the theme of, you know, a little something, something. I haven't had this one yet, so.
I think I've had it before. It's
Have
been
you?
a minute though, yeah.
It's very popular.
Let's see. Yeah, we're at 7.5 ABV. I forget. Is this an IPA? Oh, it's a smooth and silky wheat IPA. Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. Yeah, man, have I had this before? I thought I have.
Delicious.
Yeah, that's hitting the spot right now. That's a good summer.
It's nice.
Summer IPA.
You still got the hoppiness, but it's not overpowering, and
Yeah.
it goes away pretty fast.
All the stuff I
That you hate.
that I don't like.
That
Yeah.
I love. I'm into it.
Yeah, no, this is good though. Yeah, I vibe with this. Thanks for picking up. Yeah, man, I can't believe I thought I've had this before, but maybe not.
No.
All right. Now, this is good. This will be good for that Texas heat out here in X. So, yeah, let's chat X from 2022.
Farmer's daughter, take one. I need to be famous, Wayne. All the best people are.
Ain't nobody else out there like you. You know why?
Why?
Because you got that X Factor. Our days of struggling may soon be over.
Hollywood, here we go.
So this is it. Our own studio backlot.
I'm looking for a place to stay.
Oh, yes, sir.
That's one ugly son of a bitch. And my wife, Pearl, is next door, so I would appreciate a little discretion.
He don't know what we're doing, does he?
Well, it's better to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission.
I want to be in the movie.
Well, you can't. The story can't just change midway through.
My wife is not well. It happens after dark.
Maxine? You don't want to leave, do you?
People's eyes are gonna pop out of their damn skulls when they see this.
One of the boys found this inside.
What do you think is on it?
I see one goddamn fucked up horror picture.
Man.
Playing on the background too right now.
Yeah, there it goes. This is when they're banging on the bed and Mia Goth is hiding underneath.
Oh God, man, so many scenes in this movie. I was like, oh, like I physically, you know, reacted. And that's actually kind of one of the themes in the movie is like, you know, I hate to say it, but when you get old, oh God, when you get old, it's harder to, you know.
Yeah, poor bastards. But yeah, so X. Let me pull up the synopsis real quick. Actually, I should have had this prep. So let's for anyone who isn't quite sure here. X from 2022. In 1979, a group of young filmmakers set out to make an adult film in a rural Texas farm. But when their reclusive elderly hosts catch them in the act, the crew find themselves fighting for their lives.
Wow.
Now, I've got to start off with this. I remember, so one, I've been a Ty West fan since probably like 2000. Yeah, since 2012. I had a friend that was super into his movies at the time. And I remember we both watched set up a projector and we watch House of the Devil and The Innkeepers. And at the time, we were going to shoot a feature film off a script he wrote. And those were like big influences to him. You know, House of the Devil, I think we talked about before. Very slick camera moves, very much in the style of like an 80s, you know, kind of like haunting type movie. And, you know, I love The Sacrament. I love In a Valley of Violence. I'm forgetting what else came out like between now and then, you know, The Innkeepers.
Has to Help Sacrament. And then he did like a bunch of, I think he did like smaller little like short clips because he was in ABCs of Death, which I love.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's your shit.
I know, like, you know, that short form. But yeah, I've always really liked everything that he's done. I watched a little bit of The Innkeepers. That one was a little slow for me because I was like,
it's a slow burn.
I was like, is this a PG movie? Like, what is going on? You know what I mean? But also because I know the actress in it and I used to watch her when I was young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I was younger. And I was like, she was in that mermaid movie, Aquamarine, that I love. But oh my gosh, House of the Devil. I remember when you're like, you need to watch that movie, and I did, and I was like, I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
The Sacrament. Did you watch? This is actually a movie I haven't talked about yet. In a Valley of Violence. It's not horror. That's that's his Western movie with Ethan Hawke, but it's so good.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you got to watch it. It's John Wick, but a Western kind of that kind of thing, like a man and his dog, and then revenge.
There's no better plot than that. Hello.
So I got to say, when I first saw the trailer for this, and you know, what's cool about this trilogy, one, I love the trilogy period. What's amazing about it is how, you know, he continues to do this thing where he's going to take the horror genre and make a movie, but set it to aesthetically look very much like a movie of a certain time period. To the effect of when this trailer first came out, and it's like Texas, 1979, they're driving in the van. It looks like it was shot on 16 millimeters. Spoiler alert, it was not, which kind of blew my mind when I learned about that. I thought for sure, I was like, oh, it's another Texas Chainsaw sequel or another Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
Yeah.
You know, it looks so much like that. And then when you started seeing more of the plot in the trailer, which the trailer was brilliant, the way it was edited together, and all that, I still love watching it. And when the name came up, you know, like the new Ty West movie or whatever, I was like, oh shit, here we go. Because it had been a few years since he had, I think, done a movie because he went into television or whatever. I forgot Cabin Fever 2 as well. He did that.
Yes.
But I was so stoked. Very excited to see this movie. Saw opening night, Chinese theater in the main theater.
Such an LA thing to do, baby.
Yeah. Absolutely loved it. And again, from that trailer, and it's so funny that, again, they find that aesthetic so well that I literally thought it was, it's another Texas Chainsaw movie. And clearly that's like the vibe he's going for, that dirty 16 millimeter, like 70s kind of look. Even the house, like when the shots from inside the house,
dude, a lot of them, it's like an ode. Yes,
yeah,
like
the
I was
stairs
like so
and
many.
the doors right there. It looks so much like it. Just reminds me a lot of that. What about your first experience?
Okay, so when I first saw it, I was like, am I gonna like this? Because I'm not gonna lie, that's one thing that about like or not even Texas Chainsaw really, but like Friday the 13th, all those movies, I don't like I don't like seeing naked girls run around the woods, and I'm like, great, it's gonna be like one of those like very like
it's
heavy on the
about
tropes.
Them making a porn.
Exactly. I'm like, cool. They're gonna like just play into it. It's gonna be such a like a thing. It's gonna be it'll ruin it for me, you know. But oh my gosh, this movie was not what I thought it was gonna be, and I like loved all the characters. I feel like there's so many different like themes and like ways you could take everything, and just I thought this was a very cleverly done movie.
Wait, so did your perspective on this change? Because I remember, and
yes,
because you didn't like it at first, or not that you didn't like really dislike it, but I remember I was like, weren't that positive about it.
I wasn't, and I watched it again, and I'm like, oh. But then, you know, like I said, I think I'm heavily influenced with who I go see movies with. You know, because I was telling you when I went to go see of a violent nature. And
Oh,
my
yeah.
friend was like, this is taking too long. He's just walking. And I sat there. I was like, he's just walking. Oh my gosh, this is taking too long. But like, I watched this movie again and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I missed like so many things. But then also I did watch it after seeing Pearl. You know what I mean? And I think having that connection, knowing between the two, I was like, oh my gosh. Oh.
Oh, did it enhance the experience for you?
Enhance, like watching X after watching Pearl, you're gonna be like, oh shit, that's well, I don't want to ruin them. You know what I mean? I was like, oh my God, it's Howard. Oh my God,
are all
it's
in.
Pearl. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I get it. Oh, this like all makes sense. And then it makes more sense watching Pearl after seeing X too. So I think everybody, if you've already seen it once, should do a retake, watch it again. And I love when they do that in movies where they have like little hidden things throughout that pull the story in, you know? But yeah, definitely seeing this a second time, I appreciated it a lot more.
It's funny in his writing. I noticed this, and I'm already forgetting a lot of these moments, but he's good at foreshadowing in the writing certain deaths and stuff. Like there's a part where, you know, Wayne says to, I think he's talking to RJ, the camera guy, about when people see this, their eyes are going to pop out of their sockets.
Oh
and then
my
he gets
God. Yeah, and then they get stabbed
like
with the pitchfork.
Yeah. And there's another moment like early on when he's like, all right, just be nice to the old man. You don't want to give him a heart attack. And we don't know about the heart condition yet.
But yeah,
and then he dies of
a heart attack.
And there was another, even in Pearl, you know, the mother's like, oh, you would just want to lock me away to rot.
To rot, to like leave me to rot.
Yeah,
and then she literally left her to rot.
Yeah, like just locked her in the cell. Like she was still alive.
Oh
and
my
just
God.
died over like a day too.
So awful.
rough. Yeah.
But like, I mean, oh my gosh. Yeah, I really I love that. I loved all the shots in this too. And I love when they're leaving the bayou, like, what's the name of the cabaret? What is it called? When they're like leaving, you know, the strip club all together and they're off to make this great movie.
Yeah.
And you get to see like who all the characters are. And I don't know what it is, but Mia Goth does have that X factor. There's something about her when I'm just like.
She's definitely his muse right now. And the world is all the better for it because we were blessed with these 3 great movies. It's a great trilogy. And yeah, I mean, with X, yeah, really setting the stage from the get-go. Even, oh man, I'm forgetting exactly how it begins. Shit.
So she's in her dressing room. Well, so they're starting out. Well, it begins because he's like, oh my God, like the sheriff. And they're walking out and they see the destruction, the
carnage,
dead body,
yeah.
and all that stuff.
I
And
forgot
that's
about
when
that.
you really get that feel of like the old like Texas officers. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw. There was a lot of scenes in this too that were really similar to Psycho. The car in the water sticking out.
Yeah,
and I was
that's
I
right.
remember because I was like, oh my gosh. But that just made me think because of MaXXXine when I was like the Psycho house. Anyways, I'm getting ahead of myself. So it starts out with the carnage and then it's like 24 hours earlier. And they're at their little like topless bayou place. And she's doing cocaine, real classic. We love that in the mirror. She's like, you're a fucking
star, yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about
in this
that.
one, she says, you're a fucking sex
Sex
symbol.
yeah. We talked about that shot, Elliot and I, in our episode about how that was ripped from like Scorsese movies. Like, all right, how do we do the first shot of her to really set the tone of her and her character? And it's they dolly in towards her. Like it's a shot in the mirror. It's a dolly and then a zoom at the same time as she does the coke. And yeah, I love that. I remember him explaining it to me and I was like, I knew that looked familiar. I was like, there's something special about that shot that has a vibe. He's like, oh yeah, that's totally Martin Scorsese. But man, that wide shot when they're all in the van too. Again, that feels very Texas Chainsaw.
That's the thing. I'm like, I know, like, that's when I remember we were talking about it. I'm like, I feel like I've seen, like, it's setting like a vibe, but it's somewhere that most people that are seeing the movie, we have been, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is Texas Chainsaw, you know, in the van, everybody's out there making out, da-da-da-da-da. Like, and then the gas station.
Yeah.
Going to the gas station.
All of it. Yeah. Just the whole aesthetic and the shot choices. Man, I love when I love the RJ character, who's the camera guy, who's like a film nerd, obviously.
Can I just say, I thought he was the guy from Evil Dead. It's not.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, definitely not him.
I thought it was, he looks exactly like him. That was so wild. You have to put pictures of both of them up next to each other. So,
yeah, the Evil Dead remake. I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
The one who like says the
who reads the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not him.
But I love that dude and everything. He's like so proud of doing this whole filmmaking thing and
Cinema.
like how he's like, I'm gonna shoot it like the French or whatever he says. Like, you know, just because it's a dirty movie doesn't mean it has to be this. It's gonna be kind of avant-garde or whatever. And Jenna Ortega is his girlfriend, who's the sound person, right? And
Church Mouse.
yeah, Church Mouse. And this was so the first time I saw her in anything was in Scream 5. And then this came out the same year. And it's all right, cool. Now she's obviously like super famous.
Dude, she's,
because Wednesday and all this other shit. But so it's interesting how fast maybe she was in stuff before, but I never heard of her.
I think
until
maybe when
Scream
she was
5.
like, she might have been like a
kid actor or something.
Yeah.
But man, yeah, so good for her and her career taking off real fast.
Oh, I know.
But I love when she's talking to what's her name, Brittany Snow, like the blonde girl.
Yeah.
And she asks like, "Oh, is that your boyfriend or whatever?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, you know." Oh, does he do all the projects together? Like, yeah, sometimes. And when she like, "Is he your boyfriend?" And she's like, "Sometimes." To Kid Cudi, who's also like a producer of all three movies.
What? I didn't know he was a producer in all three movies.
Yeah,
That's
he's a producer in all
crazy.
three of them. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So yeah, they get to the cabin and they're there checking in with the guy and nobody knows that they're there to make
old ass Howard.
old ass Howard.
You know, another thing that he sets up really well in the writing here is, Howard takes the gun, like has the gun on him. It's like a tense scene, something bad might happen right now. And he's talking about, like, oh yeah, usually I don't even keep it loaded, usually waving it around. And then
like,
Wayne says, I've got the
same
same thing in the glove compartment. And I love how they plant that seed so early. So when MaXXXine uses the gun later, it's not going to work.
Go off. Yeah, it's like little things like that. I'm like, ooh, smart. And you don't like think twice about it, but you know what they say.
So simple.
Everything in a movie has a purpose.
Yeah. Or it should. And that's what separates the greats from the not so great.
Exactly.
It all plays a purpose and pushes the narrative along.
Exactly.
Or is meant to pay off later.
So they get all set up. He pays a little extra to have all these people there. And then they start. So, and the thing I appreciate, I love when they do switch to the sex scenes, but they make it feel like old school. It's like you're looking through a lens, right? You're watching old school porn, but it never felt weird to watch. You know what I mean?
Right.
It never felt exploited. It never felt oh God, here we go with this.
They play it really well in that you can tell it's all right, they're they work at a strip club. They're professionals at what they do and this is normal to them. And they sell that aspect of it. Even in their acting, you don't get a sense that it's awkward. It's they fill these roles so well. Because that'd be tough and awkward, I'd imagine, to shoot stuff like that. When they're doing the first scene, and when RJ is telling Kid Cudi how to do it, and he's stay in your lane. He's you just point the lens or whatever.
You just point the lens. And then Brittany Snow's oh yeah, and she gets right back in character. I'm I love her. She's so funny.
She's laughing. Yeah, that's a great shot. And I like how she does the acting later.
Oh, yeah, because he's Kid Cudi's I'm great. And she's oh, were you?
Yeah.
But were you really? And I honestly, Brittany Snow's character in the movie, I loved her. Mm-hmm. I thought she was one of she's sweet and genuine. And even when Pearl was all crazy, she was still trying to be nice to her.
That's something I really appreciate too with the character is she's not just some ditzy slutty blonde, it doesn't come off that way. It seems it almost feels maybe she puts on a little bit of that
the
vibe.
show
That's
for everybody.
But you can tell there's more depth there. And I love simple moments like this, after that part where he's standing at the window and then he's I love my job, and he's and when she puts on that other performance.
Yeah,
about
she
how
like
he's not so
teases
good. Yeah.
him.
But when he goes and he embraces her and he's just like, I love you. And I don't know, that the way it's delivered and covered, it feels like that adds so much more to them. Like, oh, maybe they are actually like a good couple and they talk this game and say things this way, but they're actually like meant for each other, kind of,
exactly. And they kind of like get into that too when they're all sitting around later and Jenna Ortega character is like, oh, well, like, so you guys all have sex together, but what about love? And they're like, yeah, well, you can choose who you love, but you can't choose who you're attracted to. I was like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
It's a good, that scene is a good conversation. And I like getting that dynamic between where she's genuinely, and they set this up like early in the movie when they're at the gas station, about she's always staring and is all quiet and prudish or whatever.
They call her church mouse. She has her little cross necklace.
Yeah.
But they do have even from the beginning with like the televangelist on TV, there's like undertones of religion throughout here.
Yeah.
And then I feel like all the characters have like different levels of like what they're okay with. Mm-hmm. And it kind of, I guess, plays into like the changing of the times and everything.
And it goes in with the whole theme of it. Yeah, changing the times, the whole theme, like that conversation. And then even when Brittany Snow is talking about like, we're not going to be young forever. We're just trying to have fun. Like, this time is going to pass. And that's the thing with Pearl, right? And her character. And you don't even need to see like Pearl, the movie, the prequel to get this point. But how she longs for that, to be young again and to do what they're doing, and they're doing the shit that she never really got to do and wants to. So when she's at the window, very Psycho-esque, right? Like looking and she sees Mia Goth, and Mia MaXXXine represents like what she couldn't have. And then that's why you get this whole thing and this, this desire to be famous, to be a star and all that. We'll keep getting into that, but clearly the theme within it. And even when Brittany Snow has that face off with her on the dock, when she puts a blanket around her, is trying to help her.
Yeah.
And then Pearl slaps her. And she's just like, don't get mad at me just because you didn't
live the life
fucking
you
live
wanted.
the life
Yeah.
you wanted. Yeah. And then, gets fed to the fucking alligator.
Oh my God, what an awful way to die. Could you imagine? But when when her character got in that pond earlier and went swimming in there, I was like,
that's one of my favorite shots in the movie. That overhead, the bird's eye shot.
I was like, but girl, I was like, if you're from the South, you never get in any body of water because there's probably going to be an alligator in there.
Man, I remember in theaters, that was my favorite shot in the movie.
Yeah.
Like there's one where they set up where the camera pans and you see it over there, but that fucking moment,
where
the bird's eye view and she's like swimming and it's like coming up behind her.
Oh, it's so great.
Good.
It's so good. Yeah, that shot was beautiful. Chef's kiss. And then, so while they're filming the scene, MaXXXine goes into she sees Pearl out in the distance, and remember, Pearl's like, come here.
Oh, yeah.
And
Lemonade.
she goes, lemonade. And she goes, that just sits there, and it's just so funny because she's sitting there, it's all awkward, and she just literally just chugs the lemonade. She's like, gotta get back to my friends. Yeah. But then Pearl does that weird thing where she like reaches out and she like touches her all fucking sexually, and she's like, what are you doing? I gotta get out of here.
I love the way it goes too, because I also wasn't expecting that. Like they make it seem okay, there's something in the trailer, it's like my wife isn't well, like it can go so many weird numbers of ways, but the fact that it just is kind of sexual, like I'm unhappy with my life kind of vibe.
It wasn't anything like,
to me it was very fresh, it was very fresh.
It's very kind of realistic if you think about you know what I mean? People just being like, this isn't what I wanted. Like, and then you have no time. It doesn't matter if it's not what you wanted. Like your time's up. Yeah. You get one chance. You get one. Oh my God. Yeah. Let that sink in. That's what we're dealing with right now. But I love when they're looking at the photos too, before MaXXXine leaves. Mm-hmm. And we're looking at the photo and she's like, oh yeah, my husband Howard, believe it or not, he was, in both wars, World War I and World War II. And she says something, she's like, back, like, or not even back then, but
he would have done
Anything.
for me. And she looks at MaXXXine and is like, that's the power of beauty.
Yeah. And I'm like, yes, it is. That's insane.
That's such a good line. That's the power of beauty. Yeah.
Because it's, yeah.
And he does. He's out here hiding bodies and shit for her.
Like, oh my gosh, I was not expecting. I mean, in this movie, I was just like, damn, it's a murderous couple. But when we go to the next one, I'm just like, what the? Like, I thought he was normal.
Yeah, you're like, why is he still with her?
Exactly. At the end of that, I was like, oh my God. But, so Pearl runs off and leaves, and then they're like, where have you been? And she's like, oh, trying to get this weird interaction out of her mind. And then she has her scene with Jackson, with Kid Cudi, and that's when everybody's just like, oh my gosh, she's got it. Mm-hmm. She's got it. Like, there's something about it. The X Factor, she's got it. And then we go to everybody sitting after a successful day of filming.
Yeah.
And Jenna Ortega's like, I thought you guys loved each other. And she's like, we do. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It's work. It's strictly work. Mm-hmm. And then
I want to be in the movie.
She wants to be in the movie.
And poor RJ, man. I love that character so much just because he's the movie nerd. I love movie nerds in movies. Even when Wayne pulls him aside and he's like, I don't know anything about shit, but I know that was amazing. And he's like, that's because I'm not shooting it like a dirty film.
Exactly.
I'm shooting it like real cinema.
He's like, I don't give a just keep doing what you're doing.
That's a difference. Yeah. I don't know what that means. Keep doing what you're doing. I love that. Yeah. Even though, and when we see it, it's just still the most basic like shots.
It's like supposed to be made like, yeah, that looks like a dirty movie.
Yeah. You're still same kind of angles. Yeah.
Iconic. But yeah, Jenna Ortega wants to be in the movie, and she's like, well,
the story can't change halfway. Well, Psycho, that's one of your favorite movies.
Another Psycho reference.
Well, that was a MacGuffin. And then, he's like explaining it in total like movie nerd terms. But that poor guy though, and I feel for him. It's like I would have been the nerdy guy in that situation.
And been like, oh my gosh.
That would have been me.
My favorite part about that scene though is when he's like freaking out and he goes outside. And then, oh my God, what's his name?
Talking to Wayne.
He's
getting out of control.
And he was like, no, he's like, she's not like those girls. She's a good girl. And Wayne is like, none of those girls are good girls. And I was just like, I loved it.
That's another one of my favorite lines.
Yeah, because he's like, if it's not what she's gonna do it. She's gonna do what she wants to do, and if you try to stop her, she's gonna do it more. Yeah,
it's just gonna be worse. It might end up being okay after this, but. Yeah, I like how, because you can tell, like, again, with the work that he does, he is in love with MaXXXine, right?
Yeah.
And when RJ makes that comment, she's not like all the other ones, and then he gets all serious. Wayne gets real serious. Yeah, and it seems like he's mad because it's offensive, and even RJ's like, no, I didn't mean it like that. But really what it came down to, and I really like that line, when he's just like, I'm sorry, I have to be the one to tell you this. But ain't none of them nice girls.
Exactly. I was just like, And which made the scene when he walks back in so much better because all the girls are doing Jenna Ortega's makeup. And she turns over in her little like Sunday underwear, takes her cross necklace off, and she's like all made up. And she looks beautiful. And then it cuts to him crying in the shower.
What did you, when you first watched it, and you saw it in theaters, right? Like, what was going through your mind at that point when he's crying in the shower and all that? Like, if anything, do you remember, like, how did that?
Oh, I was like, damn. Like, I mean, yeah, like you just watch your girlfriend get railed. Like, and you don't even do that with her. But no, did he film it? He didn't even film it. He did. Oh, okay.
Because it's in slow motion when they're doing the makeup and they put the camera on them and it like zooms into the lens and you just see the reflection. I remember, and that's something that you don't see in movies is
watching somebody actually like
some guy like cry,
break down,
like literally cry, like standing in the shower, just fucking crying his eyes out because
they don't. His girlfriend. And I mean it's. I feel like, and it is almost. I'm not going to lie. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought Jenna Ortega. I thought since she was like the church mouse, I wasn't expecting her to make that switch. Like I thought she was going to kind of be not the final girl, but probably the final girl, her and Mia Goth together. Because obviously, if you have sex in these movies, you're going to get killed. Mm-hmm. That's like, hello. So I was very surprised when our poor crying man in the bathroom was the first.
Yeah, poor bastard.
Poor bastard.
I just thought it was interesting. I mean, I feel like there's some. I mean, I guess because anyone that can be honest about anything, would recognize, and you know this. I think most women probably know this. Is like the male ego is extremely fragile when it comes to stuff like that. Fucking paper thin.
Yeah.
So I think that's like really. It was to me. I remember watching. I'm like, man, that's interesting to like see this.
Like an insight
this
in that.
this side of it, and it's like, yep, that's it for most people, man.
You can talk about, you want to make art, you want to do this, you want to do that. Everything is like cool. You could be cool with it with everybody, but right when like something that you have gets like, and you're like, no, I don't want that. But they're like, sorry, it's like.
And the way they set it up too, where she's asking him early on, like, well, why are you doing this and this and that? He's like, I'm making a movie because I'm treating it like a real movie and all that. And so she's like, well, it's fine. If it's fine, they do it. It's fine that I do it. Like you said it. Like you said it. It's just a movie. Like it's not real.
It's not real. He's like, right when the camera starts rolling, and it's just like, how hypocritical.
How quickly it changed. Yeah.
God.
But no, that was good. And of course he gets killed to fucking Don't Fear the Reaper. But I still love it. I'll take it.
Listen.
It's an easy one, but man, do I love it. And it's so great when she's stabbing him with the blood on the lights.
Yeah,
and it's
and it all
red
turns
gel.
red. I'm like, yes.
But and that's interesting too, this whole like vibe where she is like touching him and everything. And he's just like, oh, okay, like stop doing that. And even that she touches, like lays in the bed and is touching MaXXXine and all that shit.
And like right when MaXXXine turns and she just screams and just to be looked at like something disgusting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like
right.
and that's what like that from that I'm like, God, I'm like to be like that person where everybody's like, don't touch me. Like don't, like don't like don't, you're gross. Like to go from being gorgeous while you're young and then growing up, like getting old and everybody's like, you're disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the mental toll. I would probably run around and kill people too.
But also don't go around just touching people anyway.
Don't be going and touching a bunch of strangers. No matter how old or young you are. Disclaimer.
Yeah. Off limits.
Off limits. But that was like, oh my gosh. I was like, damn. But then she loses and just starts right in the throat.
So good. Poor bastard.
Oh my God.
He was just trying to help her out. He's like, oh, you okay? Let's get you back inside.
This crazy old lady's out here like,
Nah, that's a good kill scene for sure.
That's when everything, I was like, okay. I liked it though. It was good. And it fit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then we have, so RJ's dead. He's gone. And then.
Well, I like this too. So then Jenna Ortega, I don't even remember her name in the movie, but Church Mouse, she wakes up. And I like that she is concerned and not mad. So you can see it's like, okay, she still cares, Lorraine. She still cares and she's worried
because sex
too.
is just a job and she knows that he got upset. She's like, he's upset. Like, oh no, I don't want to break up with him.
Yeah.
I still love him.
Yeah.
This is what the girls
are doing. I hurt him, like it's but I like this how then we start getting people out of the house kind of one at a time.
Slowly,
And I mean, I wasn't expecting Howard to like be in on it and like push her down in the cellar and all that.
That was a shock to me because I'm like, oh no, Howard is trying to protect. Like I obviously, because from what we kind of knew, we knew like, okay, well, it's probably the old lady. That's the key. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but man, I was like, oh no, Howard's probably trying to protect everybody from his crazy wife that goes crazy at night. Right. Bitch, and he fucking locked Lorraine downstairs in the basement, pushed her down and locked her in the basement. I was like, oh no. But.
And that reveal.
Jenna, or like her, Lorraine is her character's name, Lorraine. Her turning and the reveal of the dead, naked guy strung up from the rafters and just screaming. And I was like, oh my God, what are they doing in this house? And her scream and her face and just everything about that was just.
Yeah, Pearl was definitely using him.
My God, like, and then that's when.
She was raping that Yeah.
Dude, she was. And then now that makes sense when Pearl was like, he would do anything for me. Like, oh my God. Well, yeah, obviously he would. And then but that's when we realized, like, okay, this is not their first rodeo. Like, this is not just like, this is something they do, which is insane.
Well, and later when Kid Cudi, this is before he goes out to help him find Pearl, when he's drinking the milk, the missing poster on it is that guy.
Is the guy, yeah.
And then they find the car. It's like that guy's car.
The guy, yeah. Oh my gosh. So Lorraine is trapped in the basement. And then who goes out next?
It's Wayne is like looking around trying to help her out because they split up and he steps on that fucking nail.
Oh my God. I can't. What other scene? There's another movie that did a scene like, oh God.
The Quiet Place?
The Quiet Place where you just, but there was another one too before that. I'll think of it before.
Home Alone?
Bitch, it was Home Alone.
Yeah. That's what the best.
Right? Dude. How come it doesn't feel like, I mean, this one felt like way more painful than Home Alone.
Oh, yeah.
But
well,
fuck those
sidebar,
guys.
Home Alone, my favorite moment in that movie is because there is the part where he steps on that nail in the basement. Well, there's this is after that when he goes the other way around through the window and all the ornaments are on the floor.
Oh my God, yeah.
And he like sneaks in and just slams his feet on him.
What a great movie. That's a really violent movie too. We were all watching when we were kids. We were like, fuck them up. Kill them, yeah. Good times. Good times.
You know, I get really bummed out when Kid Cudi gets it because I felt like he was trying to be a good man.
He was trying to bond with him.
Once a Marine, always a Marine. I spent 7 days face down on the rice pad. If she's out here, I'll find her. You know, and he just like, you know, politely saying like, "Hey man, you're old. You shouldn't be trudging along in there.
Yeah,
I'll go in the hard shit. You stay on the perimeter." And I like that. Yeah, that there's this kind of bonding thing. So it's such a bummer when he shoots them.
Dude, he just fucking blasts them away. And I'm just like, how?
And when they're talking, yeah. And Howard just like, I can't give her what she needs no more. And this and that, I can't take it. And then Jackson is just like, yeah. So we should probably go find the other stuff. Just the way he reacts to it, he's like, yeah, okay.
Okay. Anyways.
Yeah. Man, yeah, I hate that he just gets blown away.
Which sucks because, and it just seems like, I'm like, so wait, why? I mean, is he killing off, you know, like potential other suitor? Like, why would he take him out there and kill him?
Well, he was the most threatening one there for sure.
That's true. That's true.
Like another veteran, you know,
right?
Take him out.
That's very true. Competition almost, huh?
And then they say even before too, or later, that the one that like MaXXXine is the one that they wanted to capture.
Yes, MaXXXine had
I already killed Wayne in this one. What about the blonde one? He's like, nah,
no,
like
not her.
it has to be this one or whatever she says, something along those lines.
She like has the thing that she had when she was
Yeah,
younger,
yeah,
something
yeah.
like that.
So when you were watching this, did it ever cross your mind that like, hey, Mia Goth is also playing the old lady?
Nope, it never once did. It never crossed my mind.
Same.
I would no.
And it was a while before I found out, like maybe a month after it came out or so. Because I remember thinking, I'm like, who is this person? I'm like, it's got to be someone in makeup. But like, who the fuck is this actor? And like, I don't remember if it's in the credit. It must not have been because I don't know. I remember trying to look it up and it was a while before I found out like, oh, it's fucking her.
Yeah.
And that's so brilliant and just shows the range of Mia Goth. And well, I'm just going to say this now, even though we're going to probably bring this up 100 more times. I don't know. Her career is crazy. Like I never saw her in anything and she was in that Suspiria remake and then probably a couple other little things. And then now this trilogy that's literally like all centered around her. Like showing off all her fucking acting chops.
It blows my mind.
And then like Infinity Pool, I guess that Cronenberg kids movie. And I'm very curious to see where her career goes. If she's going to be able to expand into everything, or if she's going to get stuck in the horror world and be like the next generation of just like horror actor badassery.
I mean, because that's kind of the same thing with Jenna Ortega. Like I
think so.
I can't see her in a romance, maybe a horror romance, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I see her like she's just such a scream queen vibe, and I just feel like Mia Goth as well, because she just, I don't know, there's something about her. She's got that X factor.
The X factor. Yeah, Ty West called it. He knew.
He fucking
But I mean,
knew.
she is good. Like there's something about her that I don't.
I'm telling
maybe
you, that's what
not
you're right. It's
like, I don't know. No, well, I shouldn't say that because she's great. I don't know. She just has so much range, and
yeah.
even just in this movie alone. But anyway, we'll
get to
yeah.
all that good stuff.
But yeah, man, I don't know. I love this flick. I just think it's great. I like this whole kind of theme and dynamic between the two of them, Pearl and MaXXXine, of like both of them wanted to be famous. One person is starting to make that turn. The other person didn't make it and they were stuck here.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we get that kind of dialogue between them. You're just a whore and you're going to end up just like me. And this and that.
Oh my God.
I was young once and blah,
Rude.
blah, blah. Which, by the way, man, when Jenna Ortega's trying to bust through the door and he like breaks
that was
her
the
hand.
worst. Okay, she's busting through the door and she's trying to unlock it, and they just show her hand getting mangled, and I just was like, oh my gosh, like I can't.
That's like more gruesome than the stabbing.
That was way more gruesome, because you're like, oh my, and her fingers are all
Yeah.
oh God, and then poor thing goes to run out, and
Just gets blown
MaXXXine
away.
is like, we have to stick together. She's like, fuck you, bitch. Like door swings open, she gets blown back. And she's not even dead yet. And she's like, and that's what gives Howard the
kills
heart
Howard,
attack.
yeah.
Yeah, because she's not dead. And they try to drag her back in the house.
And you know,
she
good
spits up
for
blood.
Howard. Sorry, good for Howard. Him and Pearl have that moment where he does, you know, manage to make it happen. He's like, you know, I can't. My heart can't do it. And she's like, nah, man, I really need you to try. And he's like, shit. And then
They do it. And MaXXXine is under the bed.
Under the bed,
They're
yeah.
doing it. And like we were saying, like scenes like that, I'm just like, oh my God, this was like, ugh.
It is genuinely sad though, that moment when he does die and Pearl's like, no, you call the cops, like he's having a heart attack, and MaXXXine's like
I
fuck
don't-
y'all.
Yeah, like I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you guys. You guys are killing everybody. I hated Brittany Snow dying too. That was sad.
One crazy horror show.
But man, this movie, I enjoyed it a lot more the second time, but it's also because I think I watched Pearl and then I watched it a second time.
Yeah.
You know? I think that's why. Because at first I was like, okay, why are these old people killing everybody? This is like, okay. I was like, is somebody possessed? Like, because
no,
you know
come on.
I love my possession
Yeah,
movies. And I'm like, it has to be something. I'm like, why would they just do this? Like, why are they just, because they're unhappy? I was like, that's dumb. Everybody's unhappy. But then I watched Pearl and I was like, oh my God, it really tied. It really made me love
She
X
was always
more.
a nutcase.
Bro, who would have fucking thought? Damn.
Well, anything else to say about X?
Watch Pearl, watch X again, and you're gonna like, it's gonna change it for you. It made me really, really, really appreciate it.
Well, so here's the thing. You know, I see X opening night. I'm very excited. Chinese theater. Awesome night. I'm sitting through the first few minutes of credits and I'm like, all right, let's roll out. Let's get out of here, you know? And then I find out a day or two later that there's a post-credits scene. And it crossed my mind when I was watching the movie that, okay, it's very hip
Oh my
to do this now.
I
Like,
remember you were
should
so
I
obsessed.
stay? Yeah, should I stay? I'm like, nah, but this is a horror movie. There's not going to be any post-credits.
We're like, this is a Marvel movie. They're not gonna do
Yeah.
that shit.
And sure enough, a friend of mine, you know, we're talking about the movie and he's like, oh, did you see the post-credits, the trailer? And I was like, you're fucking kidding me. There was a post-credits? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, they played the trailer for the next movie. I was like, then they're doing another movie? He's like, yeah. So the post-credits scene was the trailer for Pearl. Mm-hmm. And he was explaining, like, yeah, they made it look like an old, like, Technicolor movie. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I wish I saw that.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, and luckily Pearl came out the same year, just like several months later. You know, saw that. Again, I saw Alamo Drafthouse with Sally Man and really enjoyed it, but I haven't revisited it until this week. Like, so I saw it in theaters. I bought the Blu-ray as soon as it came out, but I just didn't rewatch it. So rewatched it just yesterday. And there's a lot of it that I kind of forgot about, to be honest. But
Yeah, it's the like literally, Rudy, it's the little, like rewatching X, it's all these little things that I never caught, that I didn't think to pay attention to.
yeah.
And that just makes it really does make the movie, and that's what makes the movie like how great it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it feels like they don't just exist for the sake of existing. It's like it really continues to enhance the story.
Please, Lord, make me the biggest star the world has ever known, so that I'll make it far, far away from this place.
Now, caring for your family during these times is admirable, but you only get one take at this life.
If only they would just die.
Pardon?
Nothing. I want to be special, dancing up on the screen like the pretty girls in the pictures.
I will not let you leave this farm again.
I'm worried there may be something real wrong with me.
Rumor has it they only take one gal per town.
We're looking for someone with X Factor.
Has to be me.
How about a film nobody else has seen?
Is it legal?
Will be eventually.
I know what I've done. Bad things. Terrible, awful, murderous things. I want to be loved from as many people as possible. But truth is, I'm not really a good person.
So Pearl, now we're a prequel.
Now we're a prequel. Shall we?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right,
I'll read the synopsis real quick. Sorry.
Yes, go.
In 1918, a young woman on the brink of madness pursues stardom in a desperate attempt to escape the drudgery, isolation, and lovelessness of life on her parents' farm.
That's so fucking depressing.
All right, here we go.
Pearl was, her mother, because she's on the farm with her mother, was speaking a German. So I got this German beer. Would you like to pronounce it?
Weihenstephaner. Is that?
Beautiful.
I don't know.
Weihenstephaner.
It's a Hefeweizen of some sort.
It's a Hefeweizen. It's the world's oldest brewery.
Oh, interesting. Good marketing, guys.
Right? Okay. That is for you, my good sir.
All right.
This tastes to me what, like, if somebody was like, beer. Like the most basic beer. Okay.
This reminds me more of like a Belgian ale than it does like a Hefeweizen.
Right? It doesn't.
Well, I guess it's a Hefeweizen beer. Is that different? That's a different word.
I mean,
Bavarian style.
I don't speak German, Rudy. I do not know.
Yeah. All I can say is it reminds me of like a Belgian ale, like a Chimay Red or something like that, which I haven't drinking any of those in a long time.
Well, bottoms up.
All right. Yeah, so Pearl, man. I mean, first off, we talked about how X captured this kind of 70s era 16 millimeter type movie, even from the opening shot, which was brilliant. We're inside the barn and it looks like 4:3 aspect ratio, like what you'd get from those cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And then the camera like dollies forward outside of the barn. So it looks like the aspect ratio is opening up. So we're in full 16:9. And we do pretty much the repeat shot here inside the barn to open it. The camera pushes in. Now we're in like 2:3:5 widescreen, very saturated color. We're seeing the same house.
Yeah.
The house is like nice yellow paint. The grass is green. The sky is blue. We got some clouds. The classic red barn. And holy shit, is the lighting in this movie so fucking on point. I don't know how he does it to make it look like. And, one thing he says in that podcast episode is how he kind of talked about how, well, it's easy to light it that way when like what's in front of the camera. And this is like a good lesson for all the filmmakers out there. He's like, so much of it is the production design. So when the production design is right and you've got the right wallpaper and all the right shit on the
right
shelves
color,
and the right furniture and the colors when it needs to be, he's like, you're already like most of the way there. Like that's the bulk of it. But, you know, then they did like lighting tactics of that kind of era, which something I forgot to mention. He talks about how, I mean, I don't want to spoil that podcast, but how, you know, in X, they kind of made it a point to use mostly fixtures of that time.
Yeah.
But how it like really sucked to do it because like they shot in New Zealand. So there's not a lot of gear out there. And like all that old shit was like broken and shit like just didn't work properly. So when they did this movie, he's like, we're not fucking doing that. Like we're going to use modern fucking tools.
Could you imagine like from the 1918? What are you going to freaking do? Like, come on.
Or well, from like it would have been like 30s and
Was it
40s
30s?
lighting. Well, the movie said in 1918.
Oh yeah, but you're right. But the aesthetic,
the look,
yeah.
We're like Gone with the Wind, Wizard of Oz type color, Technicolor. But regardless, like man, they still nailed it. Like when she's just like walking in the farm and stuff, it like
it's
her makeup and everything, and they did such a good job. Again, just like picking like colors too, right? Like there's this great shot where she'll ride her bike to town. So you have green grass and then like the yellow cornfield and blue sky. And she's more often than not wearing like this blue top and blue overalls.
Yeah.
That always pops against like the red wallpaper in the fucking house, and then the yellow cornfield and the green grass and you know the brown in the farm, the red in the farm. It's so brilliant the way it's all put together to capture that look. And man, they just did an incredible job. It's
I know.
amazing.
Well, my girlfriend Fiona's in town visiting, and I had the beginning of the movie on, and she's like, "When is this from? What is this?" And I was like, "Girl, this is Pearl. This just came out like 2 years ago." She's like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "I know." She's like, "It looks like Wizard of Oz." I was like, "I know."
Yep.
They did that on purpose.
Even the poster on like IMDb, like this is such like an 80, like this kind of remind, like just the poster art just looks super like
it's
cool
so just
and
like
old school.
yeah.
You know what I mean? That reminds me of like some Alice Sweet
I
Alice
love it
type
when it's
shit.
starting and like the entire like the thing. It's like Pearl
Yeah, even the credits,
and,
the music.
yeah.
Man.
It definitely set the scene. It definitely set the vibe. It set it up, which made it kind of weird because I was like, I wonder what they're gonna do with this then, because it's so, you know, pretty.
Yeah, and I love that they still maintain the horror elements of it, and it can be lit this way. And like when she kills the fucking goose and like feeds it to the it's still. It's not like they changed the lighting all of a sudden.
No, it didn't get
still
dark
the same,
and storm. It's
looks
still
like
beautiful.
a Disney movie, you know? I feel like the only time it gets kind of dark is when we're in the kitchen when she's like arguing with the mom, which leads to the death.
But I think that all has to do with like the darkness of being with her family as opposed to like the brightness of the possibility of like being out in the world.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You know?
Definitely. Oh, man.
So her mom and dad are German. Her husband is at war. It's like World War I. She's on the farm. Her dad, it's like the Spanish flu, right? Is that what like
Spanish flu.
It's a Spanish flu. Her dad got the Spanish flu, right? Or like what did he have? He's
I'm
completely
assuming
paralyzed.
He's like paralyzed. I don't know if it was from the flu. It must have been something else before that,
Yeah.
maybe. I don't know. They're never.
And that entire storyline with the mom and the dad and when the mom was yelling, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is. Anyways, so they're all in this farmhouse. Pearl performs for the animals. She's kind of like silly, but you don't really think anything yet until
She kills that.
until she like takes and she's like, what did she say? You laughing at? Wait, what'd she say to the goose? She said something. She like looks at it and she's just like, with the pitchfork. Just,
You know, sorry, even the cow, Charlie, the like brown cow is like such a perfect
dude, the cow
picture
knows.
perfect.
Yeah, a beautiful cow. He's like
that's the kind of cow like that would be like the face on a carton of milk.
yeah.
You know
when
what I
you
mean?
think
Or like
of
a cartoon. Like if there was like a Disney cartoon about like a cow and its adventures, like that's what it would look like.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. Like, oh, just this beautiful brown cow, the big eyes.
It's
you know?
so weird because everything and like everything just feels like it's like a fairy tale. You know what I mean? It's so gorgeous and like fresh and bright. But then when we go into the house, it just feels like everything's like it gives you such a different feeling. It's like of death and dying, and that's because like her dad is confined to the chair, and so she has to take care of him along with her mom. And like the only time that she goes into town is like to get medicine, but everybody has to wear masks. Nobody's really going around because
so they're stuck at the farm, can't see anyone. You know, her husband's gone at war. So she feels very lonely, wants out. When she dances with that scarecrow.
Yeah.
That is the creepiest looking like face scarecrow I've ever seen. I remember in theaters, I was like, what the fuck is this?
I sat there and I was like, what the fuck is going to happen in this movie? This is so weird. Okay, so she goes into town.
She assaults the scarecrow.
Dude, she literally, she rapes the scarecrow and then takes his hat. That bitch. How could she? But she literally, like, I mean, it's funny because they present everything, very pretty and perfect. And then you see like these little glimpses, like when she feeds the goose to the alligator, when she like literally gets on the scarecrow, assaults him, basically rapes the scarecrow. And then she's like, I'm married. I fucking loses her shit at this scarecrow.
Madman. Yeah, because when she's dancing with it, it's all right, this is innocent. And then she starts like making out with it.
Yeah,
and she's like kisses it. Okay. But then she's like, really going for it.
And she like throws it on the ground.
Well, yeah, you're right. I'm married.
But also that is after she meets the projectionist in town.
Yeah. Who that actor, I don't remember his name, but he's the new Superman in the James Gunn Superman, like the new DC shit. Coming out in, I think, like almost 1 year to the day we record this. I don't know. They like wrapped and it's supposed to be. Oh my
gosh. I mean, he's gorgeous. David Corenswelt?
I guess so, yeah. That's the next Clark Kent.
Oh my gosh, that's wild.
Good for him. One day you're doing Pearl. Next thing you know, you're fucking doing one of
Superman.
the most popular characters
Oh my
of
God,
all time.
that's insane.
Yeah.
He was great though. He was great in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she's like, I'm going to go watch the picture shows, you know, go to town, take my, what was it, 8 cents, my 8 cents from after my dad's medicine, which is morphine, by the way, and then go to the picture shows. So she went to the picture shows, met the guy. That's when he cuts her off a little piece of the, is it that time?
Yeah,
he cuts her a little piece of the movie and she's all happy, like, yay, okay. And then she goes back into town, or goes back home, steals the hat from the scarecrow after raping him. And her mom's just like, where is that hat? You've been out all day. You're bringing me back diseases.
Leave it. Yeah, there's germs. If you're lucky, all you got is lice.
Yeah, I was like, ooh.
Her mom's like not happy about this whole flu situation. But I do like the way it comes to a head later and you see where she's coming from in the whole argument.
Because it's so true.
Yeah.
And you're like, you feel for it. You're like, oh my, like it's something that you really feel for.
And I'm going to jump to that right now. Like, and she's different because it can almost be the same as like say Pearl or MaXXXine. Again, it's like we want things and we want to change our lives and we want something that we can't have. In the end, MaXXXine gets it, you know, but even her saying, right? Like, I won't accept the life I do not deserve. And man, when they're arguing and the mom is finally telling her like, you're a fucking failure. Like, you're my biggest failure. She's like, she's like, married this man and I like have to clean up his fucking snot and this and that.
I don't have a husband. I have a child.
Yeah. Like I was supposed to be his wife, not his mother and this, and man, you feel, and then I got to fucking look at you and you're a reminder like of my fucking failure and just all this. It's such a powerful monologue and in moment, and how in a way they almost kind of parallel each other in a way, right? Like they want something and they can't get it. And then later we even find out that Pearl was like pregnant at one point, but luckily didn't have the kid.
Oh my gosh.
And we can only imagine that was probably a similar situation. And the mom even says, is telling her like life rarely works out the way you want it to. Like we got to make the best of what we have. We got to fucking work, do this. Like not everybody gets to be,
and then her mom,
be grateful for what you have and all that.
Her mom also said, like, you think I don't see you and I don't know what you do and you think nobody's watching.
Yeah.
If the world knew who you were, they'd be scared of you too, like I am. I'm like, oh, the mom knows that. Like, she's killing these little animals and like doing all this weird, like her mom knows. And her mom is like scared of her. And I'm like, oh, the mom knows. But then, like, Pearl does that weird shit, when she's bathing and, like, her dad's, like, right next to her and she pinches him and stuff to see if, and I'm like, God,
that was some of the most nerve-wracking shit in this movie is every time she was alone with her fucking dad And yeah, and it's just weird when she's like in the tub and like,
And she's like,
splashing
"I'm gonna be a
water on
star."
him and
Yeah.
just being all, and he's just fucking there. And
He can't move. He can't do anything. All he
Yeah.
can do is like kind of move his eyes a
Yeah.
little bit.
And yeah, like, well, yeah, when she pinches him
And
and
she
it's
sits
just like,
there and watches with her like dead eyes, and he doesn't do anything. And just God, like I think
that's the other poor, the other poor thing. This poor guy, when they're having
Oh
that
my
argument
God, I know.
and he's just there and can't do anything. And the mom's like talking about how this all fucking sucks and shit. And then she gets set on fire and thrown off the cellar.
And then the mom,
and
like she
he's
gets
just fucking terrified. There's like a knife at one point.
stabbed in the thing, and he can't move. He can't do anything. He's just trapped there. Yeah, the mom gets set on fire, and then fucking Pearl takes the hot scalding water and dumps it on her. And I'm like, dude, this woman's skin is just falling off, and the dad's just sitting there.
Can't do anything.
Can't do
And the
anything.
fact
I'm just
that
like, oh my God.
then Pearl leaves to the movie theater to go lay the guy.
Oh my God.
And then when
yeah.
she comes back, and then the dad's just still there.
Still there, just still sitting there. And then
So
she said,
fucked
"Oh,
up.
sorry, Dad." Like she threw her mom in the face.
Yeah.
She threw her mom covered in burns and scalding, like her skin's falling off, down to the basement. Her mom's not dead.
Yeah,
Her mom is
she's
still alive.
at this point. Yeah.
And then she like stands at the top of the stairs and she's like, "I hope you remember how this feels, because this
Oh
is
my
how
God.
you make me feel."
Yeah.
And like the mom's like just struggling to breathe down there. The dad obviously just like soiled himself and is just sitting there slowly dying. And she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Let me clean you up." I'm like, oh my God, this is just so, like that kind of stuff is hard to watch.
It's dark. It's real
It
dark.
is dark, and it's so realistic, and it makes you feel a certain way watching it, because you think like so many people are trapped in these lives where you're stuck. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. They just build such good tension, man. Like, especially when, the dude, the projectionist, she runs
her
over
way
to
out.
him. They do, she gets laid. He drives her back and meet my father. And
Oh my God.
she's already turning this into this crazy fantasy of like, oh, we're going to run off to like,
Yeah, we're going to Europe.
and all,
You're
yeah,
from
and
Europe.
all this stuff that like he didn't even.
He's like, what the
say.
hell? And like the projectionist gets to her house. Oh, this is all before. So Pearl is married, as we know.
Yeah.
Her sister-in-law and mother-in-law show up, dressed up to the nines, gorgeous. They have a car. They're like, "Oh, we're bringing pigs over, like cooked pigs for the neighbors, for the less fortunate." While Pearl is married to this guy, and then you see this guy has money.
Yeah.
This guy has money. But he doesn't care about his money. He wants to live on this shitty farm where they met
Yep.
and like work as a farmhand. And Pearl's like, "I want to be somebody. I don't want
Yeah.
to be here.
I want out of
I
this.
want out of this." So we find out that like throughout that, so Pearl has a stepsister, a gorgeous like little
sister-in-law.
sister-in-law,
Yeah.
yes, a well-to-do sister-in-law. That's like we sister-in-laws have to stick together.
Yeah.
Like really
Yeah.
sweet, just like living the best life,
You're
pampered.
a good friend, Pearl. I am.
I am. Yeah, sure. Okay. But
So unhinged.
dude, insane. So when the guy comes over, they never brought the pig inside. So the pig is sitting outside on the porch rotting with maggots in it.
So
And then he
gross.
looks at it, he's like, okay. And then goes in the house and Pearl's like, "This is my father." The dad's just sitting there, just can't move, already turning gray. And she goes and hugs the projectionist like, and he's like, "Oh my God."
He's like, "Yeah, nice to meet you."
And then he's like,
sir."
"Should we go up to my bedroom?" And the dad's right there. The projectionist knows, like, you don't say that shit in front of your father.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
He's super uncomfortable.
No respect. She takes him upstairs, starts trying to make out with him, and he's like, "I gotta get out of here."
Because he can hear the
'cause he can
banging
hear-
in the
and
cellar from the mom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "What is that?" "That's the dog." Okay.
Oh, I love how quickly he catches her too when
When
she's
she's
taking
like,
him
"We
in the
don't-
barn. And she's like, "This is Charlie and this, and I perform for them all the time." And just being all weird. And
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, tight." And he's like, "Oh, what about your dog?" And she's like, "What dog? I don't have a dog."
And he's like, and then she's like, "Oh, well, you see?" And I'm just
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God."
But man, it's great. They build really good tension here. And again, like I love how you can see he's like holding his composure, but you can tell he's scared. Like it went from being like really weird and awkward to Just like, oh yeah, this
like, I
chick
gotta
is
get out of
fucking
this.
nuts. Yeah, I gotta go. And he's like, all right, cool. I gotta go back for
To
the matinee.
work.
You gotta rehearse. Go ahead and rehearse.
Yeah.
And, man, and then just, I'm sorry, but like this whole like, she does the crazy lady, crazy one. Like, what changed? You don't like me anymore? Why don't you like me? What happened all of a sudden? And I'm like, why are you lying? Why are you lying to me? He's like,
She's
I'm
amazing.
scared. I'm scared of you.
But that's the thing. And like, I mean, I feel like in a lot of these movies, we're always like, why don't they just pretend to be fine and then just leave? But like, that's what they do in this movie. And I'm happy that they do it because all the time, like when somebody's being crazy, I'm like, just act like you're fine with it and then just leave.
And they
You know
do
what I
that, like,
mean?
yeah, all
And-
right.
Yeah, like, okay,
I'm gonna go
cool.
now.
And like, they do that in this movie. So there's no, like, and Pearl's like, I feel very deeply, like with Stella, like I can tell,
Yeah,
you know,
she knows.
because she knows. And oh my gosh, yeah, she does the crazy thing so well. And when he turns and looks, and he's like, okay, and then she turns, and she's just screaming at him when he gets in his car and just picks up the pitchfork and stabs him. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really like this guy too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
bad.
And then like it's slowly rolling and then she's like still screaming in the background and I'm
Right.
just like the like camera's moving while he's like rolling and bleeding out and it's just such like a and she's just like
You're supposed to take me with you. Like whatever she like, I don't even remember, but she's the crazy shit.
because that man because that one that feels like you're right next to him and he's just
A lot of crazy people out there, everyone. Careful now.
be careful, there's a lot of crazies out there.
But man, I mean, you know, when she does do the audition, she kills the dad and all that, of course.
Okay, so yeah, she puts on the mom's dress, the red dress. She smothers her poor father because, you know, like he was the one, like she was always like, he didn't deserve it. But mama, like, yeah, everybody else, yeah, but like he didn't. She fucking smothered him with a pillow. And I'm just like, God, oh. And then she goes and meets with her sister-in-law to go do this audition.
I love when she's, and then again, we get the, you know, the X on the floor, and then
Yes, where she
we're
steps
looking
in.
for someone with a little more, you know, X factor and all that, and she doesn't have it, and
Blonder,
younger. Oh man, but you know, when we get into this last monologue of her talking to Mitzi is so amazing.
That scene.
And the whole like, oh, just pretend I'm Howard and like I'm here for you. I'm gonna be your friend and you can tell me
anything.
you know, whatever, and
anything.
just pretend I'm Howard. And when she's like, I fucking hate you for leaving and all, but just dropping.
I'm happy
all
the
of
baby
it.
died.
Yeah.
Like what? Like you had everything and you won't leave.
And now we're stuck at the front, like just, and everyone just has to see it. Like we cannot do it
You
justice.
listen,
but
this is one, and I know everybody was always like, this is one of those things that made everybody say, why the fuck like isn't horror more included? Like besides like Toni Collette's performance in Hereditary.
well, that's the thing. Even that, it didn't get any
Didn't
Oscar.
get anything. No.
any
And this is another
recognition.
scene
Yeah.
where everybody's like, why wouldn't her as an actress, even for this insane monologue alone, be not like it's one of the most like
In the one take, it's like several minutes, and the camera is just on the close up. It doesn't cut back and forth.
there's no
moving.
resetting.
It just
there's
she
no
just
getting
goes
into
through
the
it.
scene.
Yeah,
like she just
in it.
in the entire thing, and there's so many like levels, and there's just
Yeah.
layers. Oh my
yeah.
gosh, and like getting to certain points that you have to hit. Like even acting, like when I act, there's no fucking way I could have done that. Like it's,
Yeah.
and you don't even realize how long it is because you're so enthralled with the story.
Everything,
Like,
yeah.
and it's so hard to do that. Like to just keep the audience wrapped in what you're saying to where you're like, oh my God.
It's interesting too, because that's one of those scenes that, I mean, I guess if we're looking at it just from a writing, storytelling perspective, that one could complain about like, oh, it's all exposition, whatever, but it's all the stuff that we've already witnessed and we've seen, and she's kind of recapping it, but it's from like deep in her soul, and we also get a little more context as to why she does some of these things.
Yeah.
You know, the way she was feeling that led to this, plus the fact that like, oh, well, clearly she has like, what is it, psychopathic or sociopathic, whatever she talks
she
about how
knows
she
it.
kills animals. Like
And
that's the
she's
first
like,
indicator,
yeah.
you know, and then, you know, I kind of got up and doing the movie guy and my dad and my mom, whatever.
She's like, my murderous tendencies, mama knew. And she's like, oh my God. Like, it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, like you said, there's so many. Yeah, there's a lot of layers to it, and it's just a ride too. It's not even that it just like crescendos up to a point. It's like I don't know. It's everywhere.
No, it's why. It's like up and down, and then you get mad with it, and you're like, yeah, like I get it. Like fuck, like I get it. I'd be mad at your shitty husband too, and then he left you, and then she's like, and I was with another man, like, and like she confesses all this to her sister-in-law, and her poor sister-in-law is just sitting there, just like, oh my God.
I should get going now. I thought, and just that again, the tension, right? And it's so simple. It's not like fancy coverage or camera moves, music or anything, but just the tension of she gave all this information.
Yeah.
And then just starts with like, I'm happy you got the part. And she's like, oh no, I didn't get it.
I didn't get
she's
the part.
Like, don't lie to me.
She's
you
like,
got it.
I can
like,
tell.
Yeah, it's going to be fun traveling. She's like, yeah, blonder, younger. You always get everything you want, don't you?
Oh my God.
And then
and you could just see her face like kind of just like turn and just like, oh God.
And then at the same time, but then going like, you're not going to tell anyone, are you? Oh no, I'm not going to say anything. And oh man, but I love this shot so much too of, Mitzi's leaving.
Oh no.
And then she just like walks out and just goes straight for the axe. And because it's like, the one take kind of coming down and she's like following her with the axe.
And then Mitzi starts running and Pearl's just walking and she's like, oh, and then just whack. And Mitzi's still running, still trying, and 3 whacks, she's down. And it's just like.
And I forgot about this whole little artsy sequence where it's like split screen.
Yeah.
And she's like chopping up the body and it's like this kaleidoscopic kind of effect and putting the dude in the fucking water with the alligator, feeding her head to the alligator. And all shit.
Oh my gosh.
I forgot about like brushing the mom's hair, fucking laying down with her, like all that shit. And then just setting them up at the table with like the pig and the rotting food.
Oh my gosh.
Like that's so disgusting when Howard gets home and he sees
Could you?
all of that
he's
shit.
like, Pearl, I'm back. And he comes in. The mom is dead. The dad is dead. Obviously, they're both rotting. The food on the table is just disgusting. And then I loved at the end how she's like, hi, you're home, like, and smiling just like this awful, crazy, psychotic smile through tears. And it keeps going through the credits. And that's like, because even my friend Fiona was like, oh my God. She's like, that's amazing to be able to do that for that long. I was like, I know. It's insane. It's insane.
When it got to that point, I was like, this is such a stroke of genius of her just doing that smile, and her face is all red. Her veins are like coming out of her neck.
Tears are just streaming down her face. Like she lost it.
As the credits roll and there's just like this like dissonant, like droning sound in the score.
God, I loved it. It was so good. But that's the thing. I was like, at the end when Howard came home, I was just like, oh my God. And after seeing Pearl and then like thinking about X, I was like, he stayed.
Yeah.
He stayed. Howard stayed.
Yep. Stayed with her.
He stayed with her. But then I was like, oh my God, but his sister. But I was like, oh, he doesn't know about his sister because the sister snuck out. Nobody knew what she was doing.
Right.
And she cut him up and fed him to the alligator. So nobody knows.
Who knows? Oh, man.
That movie, though, I loved Pearl. I loved the like composition. I loved everything.
It's a banger for sure.
It definitely is a banger. Pearl, 2 thumbs, way up. Especially watching X again and then Pearl. I'm just like, oh my gosh, it all makes sense. Beautifully.
Well, and that brings us to the conclusion. MaXXXine with 3 X's.
So, MaXXXine. Your agent tells us you're quite a popular name in adult film and entertainment. Is that correct? I'm curious, did you always want to be in that line of work?
I always wanted to be famous.
If you need to read off the sides we gave you, just go ahead, all right?
I know the lines.
She turns to the camera and, through her trauma, addresses the lens directly.
Name 5 celebrities who got their start in horror movies.
Jamie Lee Curtis, John Travolta, Demi Moore, Brooke Shields, and
MaXXXine fucking Minx.
I don't like working out here with that freaking Night Stalker guy in the loose.
The Night Stalker.
Night Stalker?
Night Stalker.
He's terrorizing Los Angeles.
I can handle myself. So said every bad girl in Hollywood.
MaXXXine, I'm the private detective. I had to find you. My employer is a very powerful man. The past ain't finished with you. It's gonna keep knocking at your door.
Tragically, another victim of the Night Stalker.
If I knew 3 people who were murdered in 3 days, I'd be pretty scared. What are you hiding, MaXXXine?
If I tell you something, we've got confidentiality.
What'd you do?
It's just the defining role of your career. Whatever's going on in your life that's interfering with this picture, squash it. I intend to.
MaXXXine.
You're a fucking movie star.
2024 now. In 1980s Hollywood, adult film star and aspiring actress MaXXXine Minx finally gets her big break. But as a mysterious killer stalks the starlets of Hollywood, a trail of blood threatens to reveal her sinister past.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yes. Mind haze it is.
So we're doing the Mind Haze IPA from Firestone, I think.
It's a hazy tropical.
There we go. I think I may have had this one before.
And I went and saw MaXXXine at the theater at the Vista. I loved it.
Yep.
I'm going to go see obviously there's a line out the door. That's fine. I'm going to go see every movie there.
Yeah, I was lucky I got to go to a
I
2-day
know.
early screening just on Wednesday. But yeah, well, and the thing with the Vista is not only are you watching a great movie like MaXXXine, but you're seeing a 35 millimeter print.
Yeah. Which is
Yeah, that's important. So Pearl ends. And this time, I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy or not, but I'm like, now that I know that he's doing post-credit scenes now, I'm going to wait this time.
Exactly.
So I'm sitting there in Alamo Drafthouse. I'm like, sorry, Sally, we're going to fucking sit here and wait. And then here it comes. This fucking VHS looking image of the hills in Hollywood. That music playing as the fucking camera kind of swings around to reveal what would be the Hollywood sign, but it says MaXXXine with 3 X's. And then it kind of goes away. And I was like, fuck yeah, dude. All right, we're going to get a 3rd movie. Obviously, it's a sequel. And now we're going to be in the 80s. And obviously, it's going to be Hollywood. So I was super stoked. This one we knew was going to take a little more time.
Yes.
The first 2 were shot back to back. This one was shot a little bit later. And man, I love this movie from top to fucking bottom. It's sad in a way because it's one of these films that I watch and it's inspiring, but at the same time makes me feel like, well, I'm never going to make anything this good. I don't even have the fucking mind to do something like this. Even though, he is, we talked about the 70s kind of 16 millimeter vibe of the first one, and then the Technicolor kind of 40s, whatever vibe of Pearl. And then now we're definitely doing a Hollywood thing. It's almost like a 70s kind of New York. I think Taxi Driver New York vibes, but now it's in Hollywood, but with the 70s, 80s, Italian giallo vibe. I'd even go as far back as the 60s because you got Blood and Black Lace, very Mario Bava, Dario Argento vibes. So now we've got that, that genre and that era. Same with the music too. Even the music,
everything
is so Goblin inspired, Goblin for Deep Red and fucking Suspiria and all that. There's an intensity to the way the music builds in certain scenes. Key moment being when the video store guy gets whacked. The way the music ramps up, super Goblin style. What's Edgar Wright also had similar moments in his movie Last Night in Soho, which I think is his masterpiece. But yeah, your thoughts.
I loved this movie. I love this movie. And honestly, And I know you're like kind of surprised. I knew who the killer was going to be right away. But that's because that's I sit there and I'm like, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? But I love how they did like little odes to, you know, like they had like the little ode to Psycho. And I don't know if they try to do like a little red herring there with like maybe MaXXXine was going to, whatever.
Be the killer?
Yes. Because when they showed the Psycho house and she saw somebody up in it, and I was like, are they trying to make this like your mother is a killer in your brain? You know what I mean?
No,
or your father is a killer?
She's thinking about Pearl because when she was in the window of the house staring at her, and she knows that someone, because at this point they've delivered like the fucking evidence tape of like the footage of the massacre. And she knows that someone found her out and knows that she's already talked to Kevin Bacon and all that, which stacked fucking cast too in this movie.
Oh my God, I know. I'm like, listen, they made it happen.
Yeah.
But I was like, I wonder if it's gonna, because they had like all the Psycho references throughout. Well, I guess not really in the second one, but like the first movie and then this one too. But I guess in all the MaXXXine movies. So I was like, But then I was like, wait a second, we haven't seen her. We'll get to that. But I love this movie. I thought it was beautifully shot. The first scene was definitely one of my favorites. And they used one of my favorite scenes when she walks by all the girls. They used it in like the promos and she's like, you bitches might as well leave because I just fucking nailed that shit. And I was like, I just love her character. I loved everything about it.
That's amazing too, right? So the opening of X and Pearl is like in the farm, the camera comes out and the frame opens up. And in this, it's literally the doors of the soundstage opening. She walks in. And immediately I'm thinking, because, you know, in Pearl, we ended with that great monologue.
Yeah.
And then here we're going to start with one of her doing this audition.
Yes.
And doing this, you know, fucking monologue to the audition panel. And again, it obviously like references back to like, you know, like Pearl doing her audition and all that. And we're looking for someone with X Factor. And I think there's even when she walks out, there's like a sign or a poster that says that somewhere. It's so great. And this whole like opening credit sequence, dude, when she walks out and what's the song? Give me all your love. That fucking song. And she's walking out, talking shit about, gets in the car, dude, the camera like craning down to the license plate, and then she drives off, and you know, the like steady cam shot going through the strip club into the back where they're shooting the porn. Like this whole fucking opening credits shit is so badass.
So good. It's so good. I'm just like, oh my God, I love it's very rarely, I mean, not very, but it's like pretty rare where you watch, like, and I'm just like this, like, it's just so on point. I'm like, I can't think of, it's not one of those movies where I'd be like, well, I would have done this. No, like that entire, I'm just like,
This was all the exact right way to do it. There's only one way to do it. This was it.
That was it. I'm like, you guys nailed it. You guys fucking nailed it.
Yeah, it's, all of that is fucking awesome, man. And, you know, I love when she's talking to her friend at the video store. Who got there? You know, I love especially when you have a filmmaker that's clearly a fan of like a specific genre, and they can't help but like insert that into movies. Like when she, like the kind of geeks, you know, and when she's talking to her friend about like who got their what actresses got their star in horror, and he's like just listing all the people and.
Like MaXXXine fucking Minx at the end. Yeah. And that's like, I mean, it's nice getting those little like nods because it's, you know, it's fun. It's fun for us. I can see it and we're like, oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Going back to what you said, like the reveal of the killer, I know I'm going to jump, but yeah, I didn't quite see that coming. I forgot that the movie had opened with that footage.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like that we got that was it. It seemed a little weird, but then makes sense when you're following that
the time
kind of not trope, but it's like, oh yeah, I would expect this from this movie. And the fact that it's set up like in X too, you know, that's what's on the TV in the gas station.
Exactly.
On the TV in the house. And we forget, I forgot to mention how, you know, X ends with where it's on the TV and the preacher guy like shows that, oh, that's her that he's talking about. And that it comes back to that, I thought was really great.
Yeah. That's why I was like, oh, it definitely has to be, because then what was the point?
Yeah.
You know?
It's amazing how, going back to cinematography, like how well they made it look like those older movies. Like there's that split screen part where just showing people in the city and all that, and just the hard lighting. I fucking love it. And I love seeing Hollywood dressed up is like an older era.
Me too. It like romanticized, because now we see it and it's a dump. But man, like when you see it and it's like back in the day, you're like, oh, anything is possible. It makes your dreams feel like they could come true. I love that. So she like goes, there's this Hollywood Night Stalker around town, and she goes, nails her audition. She has this fucking skeezy agent, which I love, because I'm like, it's so perfect. Like the skeezy agent. I'm like, oh, it's like such a thing, but it's, you know.
Yeah.
She gets this job. She like talks, but I did like how they made like the one woman, what was her name? The director of the movie, what was her name?
Oh, Elizabeth Debicki?
Yeah.
I forgot her name in the movie, though.
I thought she was great in it. And I liked how they how it was going to be like a woman powerhouse. So I was like, oh, well, you know what I mean? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Then we see MaXXXine, like she got out of, well, she didn't get out of porn because she's doing like those peep shows. I didn't know those peep shows were like a thing.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's fucking what? You put a quarter in and I'm like, what the hell? So we see the killer is in the peep show watching MaXXXine. And obviously it's the killer because he has on leather
the black gloves and the fedora, like straight out of Blood and Black Lace and fucking Deep Red. And
like very old
a bunch
school.
of other movies. When I do my movie, that's going to be the same exact fucking look.
Exactly. I mean, it's classic. You can't go wrong.
Yeah, that's great. Super simple. You know, the wonderful saturated colors that are just fucking arbitrary and exist for no reason. but it works out.
We love those looks.
And again, like the foreshadowing kills. I think there's one of the ones I forgot to mention earlier was when she says, like, I don't know what the problem is, but you better squash it. She's like, I intend to. And like literally, which I didn't see that coming, that they were literally going to fucking crush them with a car compactor.
I didn't even think about it either.
Up.
Oh my God.
I was like, they're going to stop this. He's going to cut a deal with them. And it's
They didn't.
They're doing it.
They didn't. Okay. So, and then let me just say, at the beginning, because, you know, we never really saw, like, we kind of saw how MaXXXine was a little bit ruthless in X when she was going to shoot, you know, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, they're killing all of her friends. In this movie, she's getting followed by this guy.
Yeah. The Buster Keaton impersonator.
Okay. Yes, exactly. Followed by this guy. And then she's like at the end of an alley and she's doing that almost as damsel in distress. And she's doing it on purpose. Like, because she knows somebody. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure.
No, I didn't read it that way.
I did. I did, because when she turned around, she's like, yeah, mother effer, you know? And this was the most disgusting thing.
Yeah, it was brutal.
She literally makes him get naked. And the guy's like, I'm sorry. I don't know what I was going to do.
I was just messing around.
Yeah, I was just messing around. She's like, She's like, take your pants off. And she literally...
Well, she made him suck the barrel of that gun
Oh
first.
my God, she made him suck the barrel of the gun. Yes. And of course,
you got to love the sound design of like
God,
the teeth on the metal.
I hate that shit. Oh, just thinking about it. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part is she literally stomped his balls and they showed it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. With those heels and the twist, the whole
my God.
the smear.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking wild. That was real wild.
That set the tone for the fucking movie. Let me tell you what.
It
Right
did.
then and there,
It
I
did.
was like, all right, well, here we go.
It did.
And I feel like every movie had that moment. It was her killing the goose, and in X, it was like the initial like just throat stab right away. Bam.
Yeah.
Then you're like, okay, and after that, everything is just
It's like we have a reference of how far this could go.
how this is gonna be. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's the mark of a good movie when they're like, hey, this is what you're in for, everyone. All right, cool. Buckle up.
And we're all like looking at each other like, all right, here we go.
Well, my theater too was like so fun. You know, it was because I saw it at the Vista both times. So I saw it the Wednesday before I got the full release.
Okay.
Then I saw it that following Friday, not like 2 days later, but the week after.
Okay.
Or maybe on the weekend, I forget. But I saw it both times. Both theaters were full. Both screenings were full. But that first one, man, I guess because it's probably all the fucking nerds and super fans like me, you know? And people were cheering. Like when the fucking camera went down to like the MaXXXine light, everyone's like, yeah, fucking clapping. Everyone's losing their shit. And like, I love scenes like that. And at both screenings, because I love, this is why movie theaters are so important and they need to stay alive and we need to keep them big. And they have to continue to be events because I love a good crowd. I love feeling the energy and everyone reacting. And everyone just being like, oh shit.
Together,
like,
yeah.
Everyone gasping. And then you get like, you know, when she pulls the gun on him, there's like all the ladies, the ladies are like, yes.
And then when like he gets his balls off, everybody's like, oh my God. Ladies and men were just all like, holy shit. What just happened?
Oh man. Yeah, dude, it's so so fucking good. This isn't very tropical. I didn't talk about the IPA yet.
Oh, so the IPA is Mind Haze?
It's good. I don't taste the tropicalness though.
Yeah. I think it might be like an after, like, you know, like kind of like an air in there. But yeah, it's not very tropically.
Good though. It's hitting the spot.
So we have the killer. The killer is killing prostitutes in the area. And since MaXXXine used to be a sex worker and she still is a sex worker, all of her friends are like, please be careful, please be careful. This is the one thing, and I'm not going to lie, I don't like when they put musicians in movies. I don't like that shit. Kid Cudi and X, understandable. He completely fucking fit the part. You know what I mean? But Halsey isn't a musician, and they put her as one of the strippers. And I was like, are you a friend of somebody? Because why? Why wouldn't they give the role to you know what I mean? Somebody.
Yeah,
somebody else.
I didn't know who she was. I remember in the trailer when it like says the names of everyone, it was like Halsey. I'm like, okay, obviously that's an influencer or some shit. But I've never, outside of that, I've never heard of this person. I remember you telling me that.
Because I was,
so to me,
it takes
didn't
me
bother
out
me.
right away. It does. Like,
Is she good? Is her music dope? I went to her Instagram the other day and I'm like, all right, you got like millions of followers, so I guess you're famous.
It's like
but
pop.
I've never heard of her before in my life.
It's like pop.
I don't know anything that's going on.
And that's the thing. I'm just like.
But I mean, she did have like 2 lines though, so at least there's that, right? Like,
exactly.
She was in and out pretty fast.
But I'm just like.
That's 2 lines you could have had.
Exactly. 2 lines I could have had as a scream queen, baby. Yeah. But, you know, like, I guess there weren't that many Indian people in Hollywood in the 80s. I don't fucking know. But I was like, that kind of shit, I was just like, it was probably like, oh my God, I want to be in that. Like, I get it. But right when I see somebody like that, I'm like,
Yeah.
But she did fine. She did fine. They killed her off. It was cool.
And to go up to the party in the hills. That's what they all say.
Oh my God, they got the party in the hills. That's what everybody says out here, guys. If you ever come to LA and somebody says, do you want to go to a party in the hills? Don't fucking do it. Just don't do it. Don't do it. But yeah, and then they get killed and they get branded. And everybody invites. Every single time that somebody goes up to the hills at these parties, they invite MaXXXine, and she's like, I can't. I gotta like work on my audition. I have this big thing. I have to work. She's like very, very good staying out of the parties.
That is important. She's focused on the work. She's actually working for her goal.
Exactly. Instead of partying. So she's not getting killed, which is very, very, very good. So her one friend gets killed, gets branded with like that demonic symbol, and they're like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And then is this the part where Kevin Bacon?
Yeah, he comes in around this point, has a chat with her at the Bonaventura. So now we're getting the connection to like, hey, we've, know your past. It'd be a shame if anyone found out about, all those people that died at the house and the old couple, blah, blah, blah.
Because I guess at this point, nobody knows that she's connected to the Texas porn murders or whatever they called it.
I love that. And the Texas porn star massacre.
The Texas porn star massacre.
Yeah, that was another one of those moments where everyone in the theater fucking lost it. The Texas Porn Star Massacre.
That's so funny. So he has a video of it. He sent her a video of it. So he has a video of her scenes, and then like the newspaper cut out, and she's like, "Fuck!" Wait, what'd she do? Because she smashed something. I don't know, but she's like, "Fuck you, motherfucker!" Like she's not gonna get bullied.
She's like, "Yeah, I'm not fucking dealing with this." But when he follows her in the movie studio, and she like punches him up with the keys, and shit,
oh my
and
god,
breaks his mirror,
fucks him up. I'm like, that's what you get, bro. That's what you get. That's what you get. So her two friends get killed at the thing, and then she's at the other. Oh my gosh, the one guy, her other friend, gets killed too. And I think that's
great kill scene.
That was
very
beautiful.
Italian.
Very Italian.
Very Italian, yeah.
The lights and everything when it turns red and then just
the music and
it was so good. It was so good. And I thought about you when that happened. I was like, "There's a Rudy shit right here."
That is it.
Rudy's sitting there like, "Yep,
that is exactly it."
Yep.
Poor bastard, though.
I know, and for what? Like, why? I mean, so anyways.
I think because she gave him the tape to analyze and figure out where it came from. Yeah.
And then whoever the Ripper comes in, or whoever the killer is, and he's like, "I don't do that anymore," thinking it's like going to be a sex thing, and he gets murdered. So then everybody's.
Well, that's the thing. I saw the second time I saw it, and I think I caught this the first time too, but I forgot because you think it's him at the door. But as that he's talking to that person, they walk away. The killer comes up behind him. Which was like, yeah.
I like when they do that, when they like play with you and you're like, oh, I don't know. So then another friend of hers gets killed. So then the police are like, listen, girl, like, why are all your friends getting killed? And she's like, fuck you guys. I'm going to be in a movie. I'm going to be in The Puritan 2.
The Puritan 2.
Like, and then this is when everybody's freaking out about like, they're talking about like the satanic panic stuff too, right?
Yeah.
And this
at the movies.
And this is all influencing our kids, and this is why everybody's all fucked up, blah, 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 blah. So she tells her agent, he's like, I'm going to figure this out, don't you worry, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, she confesses to him about the Porn Star Massacre.
Because, I mean, fuck the police, fuck this guy, but you got to tell your agent, baby, because if something's going to get in the way of you making that money, it's going to be a problem.
I love that, too, when she's like, do we have, like, confidentiality? And he just stops. She's like, what did you do?
What did you do? True story. That's how it happens out here, guys. It's real. It's real.
It's all right. We're gonna fix it. He's like, no one's gonna, mess with you or whatever.
Exactly, which I love.
Like, we're
like,
gonna take care of this.
I think he's one of my he's one of my favorite. I'm happy he didn't get killed because I really liked him. I really liked him as a character. You know.
I do like her scene with the cops when they're trying to talk her into like, hey, we're not fucking Vice or Narcs or whatever. Like, we're just trying to stop people from getting killed and blah blah blah. And when she walks away because she has to do her get to the movie studio, otherwise the director's going to get pissed. And when she says, oh, what does she say? She's like, maybe they should have taken care of themselves. I did. Or whatever.
Right,
like,
or like watch your back or something. Yeah. And it's so funny because the one cop wants to be an actor too, and the lady's like, too much. He's like, too much? She's like, no. He's like, I've been doing this a long time. And I love how they just shit on like actors and they shit on like, you know what I mean? Like making jokes about everything because it's so true. And he's like, I was an actor once too, or I wanted to be. Was that too much? Did I lay it on too heavy? And it's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, I like how that comes up again when he's dying. He's just like, oh, I never thought I'd be up here at the Hollywood sign.
Oh,
like,
my God.
I always wanted to be an actor.
Oh, my God. I know. Ridiculous. So she attacks the PI that's following her, which I love.
Wait, so did you think, because then, so she goes to the movie studio and she meets Molly Bennett or whatever, who is the star of the
Lily
Puritan
Collins.
Part 1.
I love her.
I don't know who she is.
She was, oh God, what movie did she do? She's done a bunch of movies, but I think she was in whatever. She's great.
I like how there's even a point where they're at the video store and you see the poster for the movie is like her face screaming. And then also when it cuts from the one scene to them falling asleep watching the movie and it's the end credits and it's her screaming her face.
And then she's like, who am I? you know me.
I'm like and that made me think, I'm sure this is pointing to this, but she's talking about like iconic, like immortalized movie screen. I'm like, that's fucking Felicia Rose in Sleepaway Camp.
Yeah.
The iconic screen.
Oh my God.
You may not have seen the movie, but you've seen that image.
You know that face.
You've seen that image. And that made me think of that so much.
God, that's actually really, I didn't think about that, but that's so, and the way she did it, she
Yeah. But so did you, and I think upon second viewing, I feel that she didn't do this on purpose, but Molly Bennett's telling her like, oh, well, I'm going to go to this place in the hills, blah, blah, blah. And at this point, I felt like MaXXXine already kind of knew like, oh, my last two friends that went up to this producer in the hills didn't fucking come back. They came back in a body bag, but
I didn't
because
think about that.
Molly Bennett is telling her,
like, I'm going to go meet with this producer.
And I'm going to, blow up after that. I don't know, whatever. But at first I was wondering if MaXXXine didn't say anything on purpose. It was just like, cool, yeah, I go to that party as a means to like one less person to worry about. The second time I watched it, I didn't quite feel that way because then later on,
because when she's the head coming out,
Well, even before that, though, when she's making the decision to go up there, and they kind of replay that part in her mind of all of them saying that to her, and she's like, "Oh shit, now I'm connecting the pieces."
Yeah.
So that's how I think. I don't think she did it maliciously. Did you read it a certain way?
I never thought she did it maliciously. Okay. I thought like the entire time she didn't like.
Didn't put the pieces together.
She didn't give a. She's like cool.
Yeah.
Whore or whatever. Yeah. Like go make your money. Go do your thing. Because you're going to a guy's house for a movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that sounds about right. But
I do love when she knocks a suitcase over and the body parts are falling down the stairs. And then it's the head.
And it's the head screaming. It's like, oh my gosh.
Even, again, Pearl ending with the shot of her smiling at the camera and fucking crying.
Like this movie ending.
With her head, the fake severed head. I was like, dude.
I really like.
How do you keep doing this and making it so great?
I don't know. I'm like, it's so perfect.
So I just had to jump to that. Which even just crafting good, creepy looking shots, like when she's in the special effects.
I was gonna say, and she's getting the thing smothered on her
the body cast. And there's I'm gonna go away for a little bit, and then it's just her sitting there, and it looks very unsettling. And the camera just moves in, and then she's thinking about the old lady and freaks out.
And that's the thing, when somebody does touch her and or like she feels like somebody, I'm like, oh, that makes you know what I mean? Because she's freaking out. Because usually you'd be like, why are you freaking? But like, yeah, she had everybody killed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good creepy little moment.
I did love the part when they did crush the guy in the car. That was insane. They set him up. She had her entire crazy makeup. I just didn't understand. Like, where'd this guy come with the dogs? And now the dogs are going to eat this smushed up guy. I'm like, that's fucked up, guys.
Well, he was working at the strip club or whatever. He was the DJ or some shit.
Yeah, but I'm like,
they even in the montage show are like talking all of them.
I'm like, you guys brought the puppies to eat the dead guy? Come on. I mean.
Do they do it? Do they have a taste for that? Like they would just go and eat like, I guess meat's meat, huh?
Buck, would you go eat a dead person? Could you imagine? Oh my gosh.
That was fucked up though. Yeah, that was pretty wrecked.
And then we get the reveal of who the Night Stalker was. Who's the Night Stalker?
He was the fake Night Stalker because they caught the real Night Stalker. He was doing it to throw everyone off.
Yes.
But yeah, Richard Ramirez, man, there's a guy for you. Fucking little pentagram on the hand. You ever see those photos of him?
No.
Oh no, there's some interesting interviews with him. Yeah. Yeah, Richard Ramirez, man. Look it up.
I'm gonna have to look his shit up.
They busted him up in Boyle Heights. All the townspeople fucking saw him and they're like, hey, it's that guy, and they jumped him, and that's how he got caught. Yeah, in East LA. That's how he got pinched. Yeah. Yeah, he just went to the wrong fucking place, and like everyone in the neighborhood, like someone
was like, "We don't know you, motherfucker. That's you."
Yeah, and they caught him. Yeah. Shut the. Yeah. Oh my God. Something along those lines. I don't remember all the details, but that's kind of how it played out. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Her father, who apparently can afford this crazy rich house in Hollywood Hills. You have to take a little train up there.
With how much money and like to get that, you know, everything in general, that shit was fucking cool. Let me tell you, that little like tram you have to take up to get to the house. I'm like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen. I want to find out where this is and I want to go up that tram.
It reminds me of like Angel's Flight in fucking downtown LA. It's kind of like that.
I didn't do that. I don't know what that is. What the fuck? I
You
gotta
never
go.
been to Angel's Flight?
No.
It's across from Grand Central Station.
I don't go
It's exactly that. It's like
really.
Yeah.
You just liked it.
Like they probably shot the interior in that, and then they're like, "All right, cut to the house now," because I'm pretty sure there's no.
I'm like,
house
could you
within that.
imagine? That'd be pretty cool if there was. That'd be pretty dope. But yeah, he has all this money to do all this. He knows where his daughter is. He tracked her down. And he has this crazy cult up in the fucking hills just killing people.
Yeah, and they were all the same people that were picketing at the movie studios.
You want to hear
and
something
shit.
funny? My friend, Marcus Lavoie, you know that angry guy, like the big guy that they used for all of it? It's my friend Marcus.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, he's the one that was recording the two chicks getting killed on that like creepy VHS shit. Yeah.
Crazy,
That
right?
was creepy shots right there. Yeah.
Funny
Nice.
story is I used to work with him at Avalon nightclub 6 years ago.
Mhm.
And he was like, I'm filming this movie. And I was like, cool. And, or he's filming this TV show. And it was a TV show for Netflix where he played some girl's dad. And it was like a thing. And then now he's working in everything. And I'm like, oh my
Nice.
God, that's crazy.
He's like, yeah, I'm not coming into this shift no more.
No, he really did. I was like, shut up. And he really never showed up again. I was like, damn, I'm proud of you, my guy. That's really fucking
And then
cool.
you were like, you always get everything you want. And
I
you
know.
fucking were
I grabbed my
plotting,
pitchfork.
plotting your revenge.
I'm like, not doing this to me. But yeah, so they get MaXXXine. But I was like, are they gonna like? They said they're gonna purify her. They're gonna like make an example. And so I was like, were they gonna really kill her on? Because they were filming and shit.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I think he was just gonna
but it was-
baptize her again.
He was gonna baptize.
Oh, he was gonna do an
something.
exorcism. He's like, I'm gonna
Yes,
exercise.
he's gonna-
you.
yeah, that's what it was. Because I was like, what are they gonna like? What are you guys gonna really do? And the police show up, and all these people have guns, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on up here? This is crazy. And yeah, I wasn't sure because I know the one guy got killed. What's her name didn't get killed though, right?
I don't know. She had like a knife in her eye, right? Or the cross in her eye, and then she rolled down the hill. I have no idea.
She rolled down the hill, and that's what I was like,
they kind of left it open ended, but and when she's over there standing over him with that shotgun, helicopter coming by, and even this with this like weird kind of fantasy ending, and then the real ending.
That's
of like,
I was
is she
like,
gonna kill him? And then, now she's on the red carpet, and the Chinese say everyone's all happy.
I know. I was like, did she like go
doing talk
crazy?
shows.
Like, is it one of those things where she lost her mind, or what was it?
But she still blew his head off and got away with it, apparently.
I mean, listen, he was a nice stalker. She is America's sweetheart right now. From porn to being America's sweetheart. She killed the Night Stalker, baby. But we're not going to talk about how that was her dad, okay? Like, we're going to keep that under wraps.
The people I was sitting next to were like, man, that's crazy to end it with like an exploding head, And I was like, yeah, that's a wild way to go. But I love it. I'm like, yeah, all the way, just show it. Don't cut away. Boom,
Listen,
there it is.
That's why these movies are there's no cutaways. When you watch her step on somebody's ball, like you're watching it, and it's just like, ooh. And that's what I feel like they did with all of these movies, and it was great.
Yeah.
Except they didn't show the duck getting killed, and they know better than show the animals getting killed. Because that's where we draw the line. You can kill people, fine, whatever, but don't you dare touch any of the animals.
Go watch Cannibal Holocaust.
Don't you dare. Rudy made me watch that, and I was scarred for life.
No, that turtle scene still like.
Oh my
is
God,
fucking
shut up, please.
Etched in my brain forever.
Oh, gosh. I can say, yep, me too. Me too.
Yeah, the turtle scene, man. Well, it's a great movie. She blows his head off, and when I watched X again, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. She runs over her head too. So we got
Like
it makes sense now. That's
right?
the bookend, right? You got to
like a nice little nod
blow
to
up
it.
some heads. Yeah, I do love a good exploding head gag, man. Like a good exploding head is that's a
day.
dream. That's a dream.
One
Movie
day,
dream.
Rudy, one day. One day. But this, like the trilogy was such a great idea. I wish I fucking came up with it.
It was a satisfying ending too, because I was wondering, I'm like, oh, how, like, where's this gonna go? How are they gonna connect it? Is it gonna, you know? And the funny thing too is the like, you know, in the end, like, she got what she wanted. She's in the movie. She made it.
She made it.
She did what Pearl couldn't do and the rest of her friends couldn't do. She fucking
got
made
the
it.
life
Got
that she deserved. Yeah, but she did it. She got it.
She wanted to escape the hyper-religious family and this and that and go and find her own path and made it happen, man.
And it makes you think, like, I mean, all the understand, like, there's a lot of, like, you know, like, a lot of, like, deeper kind of weird storytelling. You know what I mean? You can, like, interpret these movies a certain way. I watched this thing where somebody's interpreting, like, in X, every character was a different thing. You have the innocent one.
Mm-hmm.
You have the sweet one who's in this because she wants something. You have, like, the guy who's, like, an outsider, says it's okay, but it's really not okay when it's, like, his girl. You know what I mean? You have the one who's completely in it. And they're just talking about, like, how it's all kind of different levels of, like, not religion, but it could be taken that way. Like, what you're okay with seeing in the world.
Okay.
You know, and how,
where
like,
you're going to draw lines
exactly.
and all that.
Like, where do you draw your line?
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, that's a very interesting way to see it because everybody is different in that.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I guess the ultimate theme is just the, like, the striving for fame and wanting to be somewhere you're not and coping with the fact that if you didn't make certain decisions, being trapped in something you don't want to be trapped in. Like, I think I said this earlier, like, Pearl seeing MaXXXine for the first time is being reminded. It's like she sees herself. This is someone who's about to make the step that I failed at, that I couldn't make, and I got stuck here. Now she's doing it, and then we get that continued. And the best descriptor I've ever heard anyone say of Los Angeles, and I use this all the time ever since I heard it, just to describe, like, people, like Los Angeles people, is aggressive desperation. And
oh my God. It's so
right.
true.
It's fucking perfect.
It's so fucking perfect because
and that's kind of the, like, her in a way here where she's going to do whatever it takes. And she is ruthless and whatever it takes because I'm a fucking star. I deserve to be a star. I just decided I fucking deserve it. And I'm
doesn't matter what
it.
you say. I deserve this.
And whatever is in my way, I'm going to go. And it's interesting that in the end for her, like, oh, she did it. She made it.
She made it.
Yeah.
But, like, in Pearl's case, like, she didn't.
Yeah.
Like, she thought she deserved it too.
And didn't. She just got her head run over.
Yeah.
But
that's what you get for killing and raping a bunch of guys, bro. And killing the goose. If you didn't kill animals, you'd still be alive.
and the alligator egg when she just crushes it.
Oh my gosh, she just is like, oh my, and then she just thinks about her husband. Her husband explodes. Yeah. All the exploding heads. We love it.
All right, well, I think that's a wrap on this one. Any final notes? I got a question. Sorry.
Yes.
Of the three, do you have a favorite?
Pearl.
Hell yeah. Okay.
I loved Pearl. I liked MaXXXine. I don't know. Pearl, man, I think it just hits certain things with I don't know how to explain it. I liked X the second time. I didn't really like it the first time because I'm so over, like, sex and cinema. I'm, like, fucking over it. But I watched it and I was like, oh my God, yes. I loved MaXXXine. I loved the way it was filmed. I loved everything about it. I loved the main character. I love that fuck you. I liked the story. Like, I liked it. I liked everything about it. But with Pearl, I loved almost like the whimsy feeling of the storybook because, you know me, I'm all about that stuff. But I also loved, like, when it dragged you back to the realism of everything and the realism of life and, like, what it is. And I loved how raw and how, like, vulnerable and just how, like, on the nose it is when you're put in these situations that you don't want to be in. And it's like, you're fucked. Like, this is what it, like, and it just hit everything. And I haven't seen any movies that were just so in your face, like, yeah, guess what? Your dreams aren't going to come true. My dreams didn't come true. Mm-hmm. My life sucks because of this fucking guy and because of you. Mm-hmm. And there's not many, you know, things that you see that are just so on point with talking about that feeling of not hitting where you want to, not being where you want to be because of outside circumstances.
Yeah.
You know?
Reality. Yeah.
And that's what I'm like, oh my God, because you can translate that to like nowadays, like, you know, you're born into poverty. Like that doesn't mean you don't have a second chance at stuff or it's not a possibility, but it's way, way lower, you know? And I feel like it's so relatable now, then, whenever.
Yeah.
And it's just really just fucking gut wrenching.
No, for sure.
When you think about it, fuck, that shit is depressing. Like it is.
No, yeah, I get that.
Which one was your favorite?
Right now, it's MaXXXine.
Yeah.
For sure. I just think it's a fucking masterpiece of filmmaking. We'll see what time, though. I'd be curious, you know, how I'm going to feel a year from now.
Yeah.
You know, 2 years from now. Well, once that movie's out, I see it again. I revisit all of them. So
you should
I'm sure. I think the trilogy as a whole is so good because even for a while I was like, man, X is like the dopest movie I've seen in a long time. And I still love it. I love all three of them, but watching them all like recently, I'm like, man, I don't know that I put X as like high as I used to.
Yeah. That's so funny because I put it higher than I used to, which is so wild.
And I think part of it's a great trilogy and, you know, time is the ultimate critic for all of us. And I think all these movies are probably going to swap depending. In 3 years, it might be Pearl. In 6 years, it might be X. And then in 10 years, it might be MaXXXine again. You know,
exactly.
I think they're all going to move around, but they're always going to be in the top for me, for sure. In like the top tier, like favorite horror movies, like by far, and like favorite fucking trilogies, like series, like period.
That was gonna say. I was like, dude, even if you look at them as not like necessarily like character
like
studies,
story,
holy shit, like
Mm-hmm.
insane. Yeah. Beautifully done, beautifully and just having the themes for each one and like the time frame. It was so great. And Rudy, like, what the fuck? I want to I want to do something like this. Like, it was so great.
Oh yeah. All right, shit. Well, that's a wrap on this one. Ty West's X trilogy, X Pearl MaXXXine.
We love you, Ty West. Brilliant, fantastic, good job.
And that is that. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for listening to the Drinks in a Movie podcast. You can now find us on Instagram at Drinks in a Movie Pod, where we'll be posting photos from all the various films that we discuss. You can also email us at drinksinamoviepod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe, and thank you for listening.